Welcome back. We have our face mask on because I'm joined by Head of Unit for GIs, Francis Fay. He's sitting at a suitable distance from me just now. So we've got a few minutes just to recap on what we discussed this morning, and while you grab your coffee and prepare for the parallel session. Francis, there's a lot to talk about this morning. Let's start with Dev Ganji's presentation as well. He said there's a lot's been done so far. There's still a to-do list, and he highlighted the diversity within the harmonization process within Europe. So, for you, what does the landscape look like at the moment? What's important, and is there any low-hanging fruit which can still be grasped in the next while?
Well, I think Dev. Well, first of all, his closing slogan is the same one that we have on our masks. I don't know if he had advance notice of that. Strengthening responsibly, and that's quite interesting. He's very concerned that we should be taking account of the rights of all interested parties, and not just, I suppose, strengthening irresponsibly. And we would surely support that. He's focused on some of the outstanding issues, as he calls them, where there are a lack of harmonization, or at least he's calling for a debate. So we should really understand what we're doing. Maybe the diversity is a good thing, but it needs to be shown.
Yeah, I thought this is interesting. This is not a fixed process. You were in a new stage that he gives the Oxford vaccine example as well, where the sharing of information has added value too, and so being too strict with the prescription here could actually damage new innovations. I'm not so sure about whether I'd want champagne sorbet or not, but the use of ingredients struck me as well as there are limits to what is sensible to do if you want to encourage innovation and if you want to encourage growth in the market as well.
Well, indeed, and we do want to encourage innovation in the direction, for example, of sustainability, and allowing producers to adapt, maybe choosing new varieties to align to climate change, for example. So innovation is part and parcel of the growth of GIs. I think that one of the distinguishing features of the GI intellectual property is this right of use. It's not just the producer, it's foremostly the producer, but not only the producer who has the right of use, but any operator under the GI system who is dealing, trading, or using as an ingredient the genuine GI article has that right of use. Now, there are limits, and that case on the sorbet went to the court. The court did not make a judgment about whether this product should have been added to that product and sold in that supermarket. And I think we shouldn't get into that debate. What the court said was that if you're using that ingredient, it must have a clear impact so that the consumer must be able to identify the geographical indication product, and you're not just using that reputation of the GI product to give a little bit of panache to your processed product. So we've got some good guidance there, but maybe we do need to come back to that.
Madam Torre, she spoke about the impact on SMEs as well, which I think is critical, especially during this COVID period too, as indeed State Minister spoke about the impact of COVID. And just to emphasize how important it is that SMEs in particular have this assurance, they have a structured protective system in the global market.
That's right. She also spoke about the economic advantages of GIs, that because the product is linked to the place of production, cannot be delocalized, that latches the value added to that area. But GI producers have suffered a lot for all sorts of ways during the COVID crisis. For instance, the supermarkets, for no doubt justified reasons, wanted a much more clean bulk process to ensure that the product was completely sanitary and respecting all the hygiene, and that discriminated against, for example, cutting product in front of the consumer, or that artisanal approach to selling product. So there have been some quite severe and unexpected consequences of the COVID epidemic, and in my unit we've been dealing with an awful lot of temporary amendments, extending shelf life, extending new ways of storing products so that the producers can sell over a longer period.
Yeah.
But they have had a hard time.
Yeah, as a journalist, it's encouraging to me to see how people have responded during the COVID crisis. They value quality, they value food. They've taken time to rediscover the essence of what home cooking is in a very specific way.
Well, this was the State Secretary's point, wasn't it? That they really are rediscovering cooking and quality of ingredients, and he sees some upsides to that. And
well,
let's
politically,
hope
that must encourage the political process to view this with a stronger, a more communitarian approach as well.
Yes, absolutely, and GIs fit in extremely well in that. And perhaps we should also mention the emphasis placed by the Commissioner, Wojciechowski, on making sure that GIs speak to all of Europe, not just in the sort of traditional Mediterranean areas, but also in the Central Europe and Northern Europe. And we have some work to do to make them
he
more
highlighted
attractive.
the difference in approach in different parts of the union as well. So that he really emphasized this needs to be improved. To the GI view, just we have a couple of minutes still. GI view, it's an impressive, simple process for a user to engage with this now as well. Do you think this will encourage people just to understand GIs more clearly and to engage more clearly with the process?
Well, let's hope so. And GI View certainly does have that public appeal to it because of including the maps and the photographs and the short descriptions of the products.
You don't need to be an expert to use it.
You don't need to be, and it's multilingual. A point that perhaps needs to be re-emphasized is that it's already available according to how the producer groups use it. It can go into any language, and so it does have that outreach capacity, and it can also be used in support of other outreach events.
Madam Toller, I also spoke about the trade dimension, the global trade discussions, which I don't want to get into too much detail here on that today, a little sensitive, but she mentioned also culture, and that not just European culture, but the regional culture, the very precise local cultures as well. This is what Europe's all about, isn't it?
It is, absolutely, and I think it was Madame Tolleret that said the GIs are the culture in agriculture, and I think we're all very conscious of that. So when we're looking at these marvelous applications that we receive and process and finally get to registration. Quite a few comments from her and from other speakers on sharpening up the registration process, not losing sight of other rights of others, and generally making a better service. So that's what this conference is also all about, is strengthening GIs in all of these different directions.
And GI View is a new window for those who need to engage in this process as well, which is encouraging to see. So Francis, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us this morning. We have a lot more coming up. You can finish up your coffee. You just give you a couple of minutes to get organized for your parallel session, and make sure to go to the agenda to click on the right session, and we'll see you again just after those sessions as well. Thank you.